Welcome, golf fans, to Golf Weekly, and happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to you guys.
Thank you so much.
Mr. Chris
Happy
T,
Thanksgiving.
Mr. Chris H. All right.
Thanksgiving.
We're not going to tell you what's in these mugs. It's eggnog.
Not till after we're done.
Yeah, right. You'll probably figure it out by then. Wow, lots to talk about. We're in that weird end of the year season golf stuff. I did make a mention about our Golf Bluffton boys football team who lost to Goose Creek. But right as we were starting the show, all this crazy drama started. Goose Creek has now been, for the third time, disqualified after a really competitive game. Actually, Bluffton went down there and played the number 11 team. I was at the ball game, and they outgained them. They outplayed them in every facet of the game. But they had 6 turnovers, 4 of which turned into scores of the opposite way.
There are days where McDonald's doesn't sell that many turnovers.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, you can't beat a lot of teams with turnovers, but not a team of that caliber.
Yeah,
right.
They're going to take advantage of it.
Take the turnovers out, and I know you can what if all day long. Bluffton went down there and not only played with them, they should have beaten them. But they're still alive because Goose Creek's ineligibility deal was overturned. So right now, Bluffton is scheduled to play Northwestern in the state semifinals. If they win, they go to the state.
Good job, guys.
Well, good luck to
Great
them.
job, guys. Keep it up. I'm so fired up. I'm going to run down to Rock Hill and watch that game, I think. Talking golf. Guys, let's start with this DP tournament coming up, the Race to Dubai, which is basically very anticlimactic.
It's not as exciting as we saw this year with the final event of the FedEx Cup because the format that the European Tour plays under is not the same as the format the U.S. Tour plays under, which means that going into the event this weekend, the winner of the Race to Dubai has been determined before they even get to Dubai.
All Rory's got to do is show up for his tee time.
That's it.
That's a good gig.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
You can get it.
It really is. And, we talk about that, so they've got to do some tweaking here because, the playoff thing, and I know they're bringing it now into the college playoffs for football. Obviously, the Super Bowl and the playoffs there are so compelling. You look at the bracket of the 64 in the NCAA basketball playoffs. This is what people want to see. And the Gary Williams on Golf Central this morning made a very good point. The Giants last year, the New York Giants, went 9-7, but then they got hot when it counted most and went on to win the Super Bowl.
Yep.
Right.
So you hate seeing guys who maybe have caught fire, found their game, gotten some confidence, not even be a factor.
Well, that's the idea of the playoffs. You play throughout the season to see whether or not you're eligible to get in, and once you get in, it's a clean slate.
Right.
And unfortunately, that's not what has developed here.
Right.
Now, at the beginning of the FedEx Cup years ago, they had the same problem. I think at least once Tiger wrapped it up before the final event, and they decided, it was definitely time to tweak it and to make it more, as we were talking about before we went on air, more compelling.
Yes.
They need to do that. They need to make it so this weekend really matters. Now, they're playing for money, and it's another event, which is great, but the whole idea was to bring everything to a head right here at the end of the year, and unfortunately, that's not what's developed.
Yeah.
And that's because Rory's played very well, and that's great for him, and congratulations to him. But as far as making it exciting at the end, it's not going to be quite the same thing.
Right.
Yeah, and we've seen, again, relating it back to football, we've seen this BCS formula become just a nightmare, and it looks like it might be happening again with Oregon and Kansas State losing. Notre Dame now is number one, the only undefeated team. But you see those scenarios happen, and when the format or the formula isn't right, these things always occur, it seems. So it just needs some tweaking. I look forward to seeing what they do. I would love to see what they're doing on the European Tour, match a lot more and adopt a lot more of the schematic that we've created
for the FedEx Cup,
because that actually was exciting.
Well, there's also been the talk about Rory not winning in Europe this year. He got a majority of all of his points and earnings through the co-sanctioned events, majors, and world golf events, and they're co-sanctioned, and that's the way it is. So he's obviously played well within the rules, but once again, it comes to the point where we're going into this last event, and that's the whole idea. And the way they marketed it was, the Race to Dubai, and who's going to do it? Well,
Well,
we haven't gotten to Dubai yet, and we already know who's going to do it.
Like, what's the sound effect on Price is Right? Bum, 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 bum. You know, all the air came out of that balloon. Couple other things happen around the world. Henrik Stenson won in Europe to his first victory since the '09 Players Championship. Great to see him back on form. He's a world-class player when he's playing well. You had the mechanic, our boy, Miguel Angel Jimenez, became the oldest player on European Tour history, winning in Hong Kong.
At age 48.
Really exciting to see that. I love that. Who doesn't love that guy? You cannot love him.
I still love the tape on YouTube. If you haven't seen it, you should go to YouTube and put in his name and his warm-up exercises. And
it's priceless.
He's got a few that we haven't really tried at the JPGA yet. We're waiting to. We're going to wait a little bit to see how that goes and whatever. But it's pretty fun.
It's difficult to describe.
He's a solid player, though.
He really is,
and he's a solid player.
I'd love to. I think he's in line for a Ryder Cup captaincy real soon.
Definitely.
Real quick before we go, we got about 30 seconds. We were talking about name 3 players that you think the best 3 players who have not won a major. I always think that's a compelling argument.
Of course, Dustin Johnson, my boy. Then Luke Donald, and I'm going to go with Ian Poulter.
Yeah,
as we discussed earlier.
Yeah, he's definitely on form right now.
I've got Dustin Johnson, Luke Donald. I've got Justin Rose.
Love that.
I've got Justin Rose.
Pick. He's just knocking on the door. He's starting to win some big world golf events.
That's right.
And as solid as anybody in the game.
Well, he's definitely matured from the 18-year-old we saw in 1998 that came in third behind Mark O'Mara.
That's right.
So it really, it'd be nice to see him win one. He's a class act, and he's really a great guy.
I got Luke Donald. I think it's going to happen, even though he's a short hitter. I had Ian Poulter. Just from, he's just confidence is gaining. He was a stalwart at the Ryder Cup.
Right.
And I put Brandt Snedeker in there. Brandt, I think, qualifies now with his big victory at the FedEx.
Yeah,
so,
definitely.
Interesting to see. That's always a fun argument to kick around. And we are donezo.
Already.
La fini. Well, guys, stay with us. When we come back, we're going to be joined by one of your students, right?
Yes.
And what are we talking about?
We're going to show some of the exercises that we put our students through at the JPGA to help them play a little bit better.
There you have it. And hopefully it'll help you play a little bit better. Stay with us.